Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Juan Morales, Senior Staff Field Application Engineer for SmartHQ service here at GE Appliances. Welcome, each and every one of you, to this really important YouTube live event in which we will be demonstrating how to utilize the SmartHQ service app to help you diagnose some very common GE laundry products. All right, so for example, we have here a front load washing machine and of course our dryer, and we're going to be trying to troubleshoot things like noise and vibration, no spin saturation, all those kinds of things, right? But before we get started, I want to quickly point out that we do have a website. You probably saw it at the beginning of the show here. And the website is smarthqservice.com. Of course, you can always call us at 502-714-2029 to learn more information about this amazing product, okay? And of course, that is the SmartHQ service application. So we have a lot of material to cover, so let's quickly get into it, my friends. Of course, we're going to talk about our agenda real quick here, what you're going to learn today. And the first topic will be washer noise and vibration diagnosis. And for that, we are going to be using the Spin Cycle test, which is, of course, part of the SmartHQ service application. This is going to help us to diagnose for noise and vibration. We're also going to venture into the cycle history feature, and this is truly going to help us overcome NDF or no defect found cases, right? Those cases where the customer perceives that there's an issue with the product, but in reality, there's nothing wrong with it. Then we're going to move on to operate loads and talk about how to activate individual components like your water valves, your heater, all that good stuff. And we're going to also look at the watchbox parameters because that is where we're going to find really important information related to your thermistor, your pressure sensor, all of that. Then we're going to go into how to troubleshoot a no-spin situation, right? So we're actually going to dive into a little bit of GE appliance hardware, like the motor resistance checks, and we're going to teach you how to troubleshoot the inverter PCB as well. We're going to move on then from there to the dryer and diagnose using the SmartHQ service app. We're going to diagnose a weak heating condition. So that's going to be really cool. You're going to get to check that out. And last but not least, we are going to give you an overview of the brand new product we recently launched, which is SmartHQ Service Web. And my friends, SmartHQ Service Web is a web-based platform of the SmartHQ Service app, which gives service managers, triage agents, in-house tech support agents. It gives all of these people the ability to communicate with their technicians out in the field efficiently, but also see the data that the technicians see. So stay tuned for that. It is something you will not want to miss. All right. All right, my friends, so let's go ahead and move on here. And for those of you that may have never seen this system before, at the heart of the system is the Bluetooth module. And this is what's going to help us communicate between the appliance and our mobile device via Bluetooth, right? So all you need to do is connect that Bluetooth module using an RJ45 cable to the Ethernet port on the appliance. In this case, on washing machines, the port is located in the front, right? Very, very easy to access it. And I want to emphasize that, my friends. Our engineering teams are always listening to the feedback from our service technicians out in the field, right? So you spoke, we listened, and from the feedback we received, it was difficult for you guys out there to, connect the port to the port that was located in the back of the units, right? Sometimes it's difficult to move the unit out of its point of installation. Maybe the dryer is stacked or something like that. So we made it very simple for you, and we actually put the port, as you can see, right in the front here. So we're connected right now to the front of the washer, and the port in the dryer is right in the front as well. Okay, so very, very good feedback that you gave us, and of course we implemented it into our new product. So we're very excited about that. All right, so once you connect to the appliance, of course, you'll be able to communicate and diagnose it. But in addition to just having real-time diagnostics, you also have cloud-based service documentation right within the app. So this is going to give you things like service bulletins, the mini manuals, schematic diagrams, as you can see over there, and a whole lot more information. It's going to make it very easy for you to find this. All right. So that's essentially the system and how it connects to the appliance. And now let's get into our first topic, which is washer noise and vibration diagnosis. Okay. Now I'm going to start off by saying this: you cannot compensate for a poorly installed product. Okay. So the first thing you need to do when you get to your customer's home is to ensure that the product has been installed properly. Make sure they remove the shipping bolts, right? Also, check the leveling of the unit. Be sure that it is fully leveled front to back, side to side, all that good stuff. But most importantly, you need to make sure that it is balanced. And what I mean by that is you need to press on all four corners of the washer and the dryer. And by the way, this applies to both front and top load models, right? Today we're working with front load washers, but if this was a top load, it would be essentially the same thing. You want to press down on all four corners and make sure that there is no rocking motion going on there, right? Because if you have even the slightest little bit of movement, when it comes time to run the high-speed spin cycle, you're going to have some excessive noise or vibration. So you want to make sure that you eliminate all of that first. Now, once you've done this, then we can go ahead and utilize the SmartHQ service app to run the spin cycle test. And this is really, really cool because it's going to allow us to ramp up the speeds all the way to the highest value, right? So, for example, you're seeing here right now on your graph, this is what you're actually going to see when you run the application. So the test is going to first ramp up to 2 intermediate speeds, and then it's going to take off, right? It's going to go to like 1,300 RPM, and you will really see this thing, going fast. And that is when you're going to be able to tell if there is any kind of noise or vibration going on within your washing machine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, we're going to demonstrate this by doing a side-by-side view of the actual basket and, of course, the application. I'm going to put myself in the corner of the screen up here so you can see that everything that I do on my mobile device is actually taking place right there on the on your monitor, right? You're seeing it. So right now what I've done is I've already, for time purposes, connected to the Bluetooth module, and I'm in the dashboard screen. So to go to that spin cycle test, we're going to go ahead and hit the button labeled next at the bottom. And then we're going to press Diagnostic Tests. So we click on that, and all the way at the bottom it says Enter Service Mode. Click on that, and your screen will turn red. And that's an indication that you have full control of the unit, of the washer in this case, and it is in service mode. Now, one thing I want to point out here real quick, my friends, you will see the display. So you can see it right now. It's the lights are blinking, right? It's flashing, whichever way you wish to call it. So sometimes you get technicians calling us saying, hey, I connected and now the lights are flashing. Did I break something? And no, you didn't break anything, okay? This is perfectly okay. No problems at all whatsoever. But again, the lights will blink. The screen on your mobile device will turn red, and that is an indication you have full control of this unit. Now, another thing that I want to make clear, my friends, okay? For this demonstration, we have modified this washer so that we can run this test with the door open so that you could see out there what's going on, okay? But by no means should you ever run this test with the door open. You, in the field, please make sure the door is closed and locked, because believe me when I tell you, this thing is going to fly, all right? So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to press the spin cycle button, and now we're just going to simply hit the spin action key. So we're going to click on that. And two things are going to happen. First, the drain pump is going to kick in, so you can hear the drain pump right now. Then the door lock will engage, so we should hear a click. There it is. Okay. So once this happens, now the basket is going to start to turn slow at first, right? And then it's going to really take off. So right now we can see that the first target speed is 100 RPM. Okay, 100 RPM, no big deal. We're already at 65. It's getting up there. So the first goal that we need to reach is 100. That's according to the test and what's happening here, all right? Once we reach 100 RPMs, the value, the target speed, is going to go a little bit higher. And I believe it's going to go to 400. And the basket will try to also reach that speed. So let's see what happens here. It looks like we already reached 100 RPM according to my data here on my mobile device. And once that is detected by the main control board, the stakes go high, right? So now 400 RPM is the next target speed. And I want you to focus on this, my friends, because that target speed is what the control board is saying, hey, basket, you need to be able to spin at this speed for me to, to give you the next challenge, right? So if we can reach 400, then the stakes will go even higher. It's going to go to 800, and we need to be able to reach that. But for that to happen, the machine cannot go out of balance, right? That means it has to be leveled properly, balanced properly. And of course, this is going to be your proof that, the machine is working well. So we're at 400. You can see this thing is already flying. I can kind of feel the wind here. Again, don't try this at home. I'm a trained professional, okay? Always do this with the door closed. Now, again, we're at 800 RPM target speed. This is really ramping up. So 618, 714, and it's gonna blow. No, nothing's gonna happen. All right, so we've reached 800. For time purposes, I'm going to kill this test. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit stop spin. Because we've already seen that this thing can really get up there in speed. And again, the next target speed, I believe, would be 1300, which this thing is going to go, very, very fast. But again, for this demonstration, we saw what happened here. Okay, so keeping in mind that your target speed is what you need to reach, your basket speed is the actual RPMs that the machine was able to accomplish. Okay, and that's going to be very important later on when we talk about cycle history, because with the cycle history feature within SmartHQ service, you will be able to tell if the customer's washer was able to get up to the maximum spin speed for the specific cycle that they selected. All right. So going back to this, my friends, this is again a really easy way for us to see, first of all, if the basket is working, if the motor drive assembly is functioning correctly, but also if the machine has any sort of noise or vibration, you will hear it, you will feel it. And at that point, you can make your adjustments on the legs, or maybe, level the unit a little bit better. Whatever it is that you need to do to ensure that at high speeds, low speeds, medium speeds, it doesn't matter, it will not shake or vibrate or make any noise, right? So that's where this feature is really going to help you. And now what I want to do is show you a different feature right within the app here, which is called the Agitate Test. And this is a great one because in those cases where your Hall sensor, right, is actually causing the issue. So the Hall sensor is the one that detects the rotations, and that sensor is located within the motor drive assembly. If that Hall sensor is bad, you might get a no spin condition. You might get some kind of a fault code that's related to it. So to test it, right, we can actually view in a graphical format. We can actually see if it's functioning correctly. So right now, you're looking at the graphic that we would see. So let's go to the real thing, right? Why not? So we're still in the spin test. We're going to hit the back arrow key to get us back to that menu, and then we're going to select Agitate Cycle. So the Agitate Cycle, when I start this, you're going to see it's not going to go as fast as the spin cycle test. Okay, so let me go ahead and press Agitate Action. What's going to happen here? The basket is going to rotate at a very low speed, right? Maybe 50, 60 RPMs at most, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's going to rotate first clockwise or counter. It doesn't really matter in one rotation. Then it's going to stop, and then it's going to rotate in the opposite direction. And as it's doing this, there it goes. As it's doing this, it is going to display on the graph what the RPM of the basket is. Now, the component that is reading this is, of course, your Hall sensor. And the fact that the Hall sensor is detecting a rise in RPM and then a sudden drop indicates that it is capable of detecting when the basket is spinning and when it's stopped, and then when it's going in the opposite direction. So this right here tells me, without, again, having to take out a single tool, no multimeters, no nothing, this tells me that my Hall sensor is good to go, right? That part of the washing machine is working correctly. And this is the way that you work smarter, not harder, right? So I didn't have to take the unit out of the point of installation, disassemble anything. Just with the data that I'm looking at right here, I'm able to tell that this particular component is working well. And of course, with the previous test we did, which is a spin cycle test, we were able to know that the spin basket is working fine as well. The motor that drives it is working to perfection. All right. So I wanted to share this with you because I think it's really important that you understand these two tests. So let's go ahead and stop the test for now. And we're going to go ahead and just exit service mode momentarily. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic that I want to talk about, which is the cycle history feature. And my friends, let me tell you this just from experience, okay? If there is one feature that I want you to master on this application, is the cycle history feature, because it's going to save you a ton of time, a ton of money, and it's going to save repeat repairs or second visits when there is a no defect found situation. Okay, so I want to go ahead and show you a graphic here, and this picture speaks 1,000 words. Okay, I can guarantee you, if you've been in the repair industry, even for a week, right, and you've done some laundry products, you've come across this case, right, where the customer states that their washing machine is taking 2 hours, hour and a half to complete the cycle. In most cases, what they say is, oh, the washer is taking forever to complete the cycle, right? That's what customers will typically say. And of course, we know that's not the case. The other scenario that we see sometimes is this one right here, where the customer states that the clothes are coming out wet. Okay, so again, my friends, if you've been in this industry even for a little while, you have probably seen this many, many times. Now, in this case, we both know that there is absolutely nothing wrong with the product here, okay? Typically, these two situations are caused as a result of the customer selecting the wrong cycle or overloading the washer. Now, normally, it's very difficult for us to explain this to the customer, right? Because we'll get there and we'll say, well, there's really nothing wrong with it. You're probably just not using it correctly. At that point, the customer, they could either believe you, depending on how you presented yourself, or they just won't. And then they'll call back. And the second time you have to go out there for the same thing, it's on your own time, on your own dime. So what cycle history allows you to do here is to view the customer usage pattern, right? It will actually display, this feature will display the last 10 cycles on washing machines. But obviously, to not clutter up too much the presentation here, I'm only displaying the last 3 for this purpose. So here's what you can actually get from the cycle history feature. You can see which cycle the customer selected. You can see also the cycle duration time, all right? So for example, here, this customer has been the last 3 cycles, which is cycle 54, 53, and 52. They have selected the towel cycle, the normal, and the sanitized with oxy. And all 3 seem to be relatively, working well because let's just take, for example, the normal cycle. Okay, a normal cycle is going to take approximately 55 minutes to complete, and it completed in 60. So that's fair. That's acceptable. But if it would have taken, 85 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever it is, then that's, then there's something fishy about that. The other parameter you can capture is the maximum target spin speed reach. Sorry, not the target, the maximum spin speed, all right? And this is huge, my friends, because as we saw earlier, the target speed is where we need to get to, right? And the maximum is where it actually got to. So for example, here in let's say the normal cycle, cycle number 53, the target maximum spin speed is 1100, and we can clearly see that the basket actually reached 1114 RPMs, which means it not only met the requirement, it exceeded it. So if your customer is telling you that the clothes are coming out wet, that's at least not for that cycle, because I can assure you, if the clothes are being spun at that speed, they're almost going to come out dry. Okay, I've seen it many, many, many times. So not only can you see the data in a numerical format, but also in a graphical format. Okay, so if you're better with viewing graphs, some of us, are better with that than with numbers, then you have the option to do that as well. So SmartHQ service gives you flexibility to do both. Now, let me show you a prime example that was sent to us by one of our service technicians out there that uses SmartHQ service. This gentleman was really, really happy that he had this app, because check this out, okay? This customer was stating that their washer, again, was taking forever to complete the cycles, right? But in this case, we saw that, indeed there is a problem, right? Here, the customer selected the normal cycle. The cycle duration time was 85 minutes, so that's almost an hour and a half. Okay, and when you're talking about a cycle that's supposed to finish in less than an hour and it's taking an hour and a half, to the customer, an hour and a half is forever, right? They don't have time for that, right? They have many other things to do. So obviously they're going to call for service and complain that there's something broken with the machine. But check this out. This technician was able to find this parameter all the way at the bottom within the cycle history feature called OOB redistribution events. And what that essentially means is that there were 4 out of balance, that's what OOB means, out of balance events, where the machine detected, that the clothes were kind of tumbling all over the place. So it stopped the basket from spinning. In an effort to sort of reshuffle the clothes around, redistribute them, it pumped a little bit of water into the machine and then tried to agitate it again. So every time that happens, that's going to take up 4 to 7 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood. And of course, that's why because, you know, if you multiply that by times 4, that's where you're adding the time to the cycle. So here the customer is saying, you know, the cycle is taking long. Yes, indeed, it's taking longer than it should. But armed with this information, the service technician can very easily and with confidence explain to his customer that there is absolutely nothing wrong with the product. So here he could say, ma'am, there's nothing wrong with your unit. I can see that the cycle did take a little bit longer to complete, but it's probably because you may have overloaded the unit, or perhaps you put in, you know, bedding or towels instead of, you know, just clothes, right? And I can tell you, my friends, once the customer sees you, you know, pull this data on your mobile device, they know that you know what's going on with their machine. So they're going to be more open to tell you exactly what they did. So perhaps this customer might say, oh yeah, I remember, I had to do some towels, and, you know, there was a lot of them and I just threw them in there. I didn't select the towel cycle, and maybe that's what happened. So it allows you to communicate better with your customer, but also gives your customer the assurance that their product is working well, and they're not going to call you back, right? If you just say, oh, you don't know what you're doing, you have to select you know, the towels or the bedding cycle for big stuff, you're going to come across a little bit maybe as condescending maybe, and they're not going to want to deal with you. They're probably going to just let you go on your merry way, but then they're going to call your service company and say, hey, send somebody else, because I'm not completely convinced that there's no problem. And at that point, that second service visit is going to cost your business, like the graphic showed before, on average $107 or so, just to put a technician in that customer's home. Needless to say, also the time, right? During that time, they could have been running another service call. So this is really going to save you. Now, let me go ahead and show you on this particular machine that we have how to access the cycle history feature. So here we are. I'm going to put myself again in the corner of the screen here so you can see that I'm here. We're going to go from this menu and just simply press the cycle history button. Now, when I click on that, I'm going to flip my phone so we have a better view. Let me find one of the cycles that I saw earlier. Yeah, cycle, there it is, cycle number 79. If you could see the duration time was 66 minutes for that normal cycle. Now, that's a little bit longer than it should have taken, but you can see below the redistribution events are 3, right? So that's why the cycle time was extended. And again, if I was in front of my customer and they were asking why this is taking so long to finish, I could very easily explain with this data, right? You show them on your mobile device, on your tablet, and explain to them, you know, why this is caused. We can see cycle number 77 was a little bit longer than 55 minutes, but there was only one out of balance redistribution event there. So not a huge deal. Now, let me go ahead and look at another parameter. Let's see the RPMs. So the maximum spin speed and then the target maximum spin speed. So we can see here that, again, for cycle number 79, the target speed was 1100 RPM. And I can see here that particular cycle, the machine exceeded it, right? It went to 1113 RPM, which indicates to me that not only did the clothes, you know, completely get washed, the cycle finished, right, successfully, but they should have come out relatively dry because it spun it to the maximum spin speed for that specific cycle. So very, very important information here that you can share with your customer in the event, again, that they're stating that there's a problem with the unit. This allows you to overcome those no defect found situations. Now, I want you to also take a look at that ultra fresh vent cycle. So if we look at like cycle number 80 and cycle number 78, that is not, you could see the cycle duration time. You're probably thinking to yourself, why is that cycle taking 481 minutes? That's, if we do the math, that's what, 8 hours, something like that. And the reason for that, my friends, it's not because, that's not, by the way, a wash cycle. That fresh vent cycle is an innovation from GE Appliances where for the first time ever, my friends, on a front load washer, your customer can actually shut the front door, all right? They can actually close it and they don't have to worry about mold or mildew or that smell that happens when you close your front door on the front load washers. What's gonna happen is during that cycle, the machine will self-vent. The basket is going to occasionally rotate to kind of distribute, any droplets of water, and eventually that will evaporate. And this allows you to not have to worry about leaving the door open. Okay, so that's a beautiful thing. Another innovative product from GE Appliances. And that, again, something you can explain to your customer. They might say, hey, why is it that when I close the door after the cycle, I get this ultra fresh vent flashing light? And you can explain to them, well, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, if you press that key, that is going to self-vent your washer, and you never have to worry about odor, mold, mildew, anything like that. All right, so that's what essentially that does for us. All right, my friends, so that was the cycle history feature that I wanted to talk to you about. Now let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is the operate loads feature. And this is going to allow us to operate individual components such as your water valve, drain pump, door lock, motor. You can actually activate a heater if this machine had one. But in addition to being able to activate and control individual components, you also have the ability to view other data, which is located in the watch box, okay? And that is going to give you information related to the thermistor, right? So you're going to be able to see if your water temperature sensor can detect the temperature of the water. You're also going to be able to see the data from your pressure sensor, right? So see if the pressure sensor can detect that there's water coming into the unit and exiting the unit, all that good stuff. So for this, let's go ahead and go back to our friend over here and show the side-by-side view. So I'm just going to exit out of that cycle history. We're going to press the operate loads key, and we will go ahead and enter service mode again by pressing the button at the bottom. Our screen, as I mentioned before, is going to turn red and the display will flash. Now we can go ahead and activate the valves or the drain pump. So let me go ahead and go to the water valves, and we're going to turn on the cold water valve. Here we go. All right, there it is. The water's coming in. And what I want to show you, right, this water valve is going to run for about 1 minute. But let's go ahead and open up the watch box by pressing the hamburger button, the 3 lines up here. And we can see that my thermistor is actually detecting the temperature of the water that's coming in. Now, it's a little bit of a chilly day here in the Northeast this morning. So I'm going to expect that water temperature value to drop as more and more cold water comes in. Now, if you look below, you also look at your pressure sensor, the inches of reading. That is slowly increasing because as water comes in, the pressure sensor is detecting that, that water's coming in, and it's raising the value. So 3.5 inches, let's see, this is a little 3.8, all right? So it's definitely detecting the water coming in. And that's great. That's what we want to see. And of course, all the way at the bottom, you have your tub gallons. It says it's 2.86, close to 3 gallons. So we can see that our pressure sensor has detected 4.2 inches of water are in there. And that's a great thing because, my friend, sometimes your customers will state that, especially if they've had an older product, that there isn't enough water going into their washer, right? You might have a customer that says, hey, my 20-year-old, I won't say the brand, but top load washer used to fill all the way to the top, right? And that's how he cleaned the clothes. Or they're expecting to see, their front load washer look like a fishbowl. And that, of course, is not the case. You can clearly see here how much water is in there with 4.2 inches of water. Now, again, the water valves will run for approximately 1 minute, as you saw here. So now what I'm going to show you is how to remove the water, we're going to obviously turn on the drain pump, right? But you're going to see how those values are going to change. So we're going to select drain pump, turn it on, open up the watch box, and pay close attention to the pressure sensor, okay? You can see that it's already dropping 4.1 inches, 3.6, as the water is exiting the unit. And that's a great thing because a pressure sensor is one of those components that will throw other fault codes without you even knowing it, right? You could have a no-fill condition, a no-drain condition, an overflowing of water condition where it may not have anything to do with the actual water that's in there, but rather what the pressure sensor is detecting. So that's why it's very important that you understand this, how to use this feature, because it's going to save you a ton of time. You won't have to do any, multimeter readings. So in other manufacturers I worked for, you have to actually take out your multimeter, put it on the pressure sensor, check for voltage resistance. It's a lot of work. Here, push of a button, you get all your data right then and there, okay? Now let's go ahead and take a look at that thermistor and see if it's actually functioning, right? See if it's detecting the presence of hot or cold water. And the way we're going to do that is by activating the hot water valve. So I'm going to press on the hot water valve. And as soon as that water begins to enter, right now my current temperature is 56 degrees. The hot water is going to enter the machine. I should start to see a rise in temperature. Now let me go ahead and just kind of feel it with my hand here. And the water's still coming in a little cold. So I think the hot water heater in this home is a little bit far away, so still trying to prime the line. But let's feel it again. All right, there it is. Now it's starting to get a little bit warmer. Okay, I should have brought a towel. It's okay. So anyway, you can see the temperature is rising. This is an indication that my thermistor, my water temperature sensor, is working properly. So your water temperature sensor, thermistor, whatever you wish to call it, is also going to affect the functionality of your product. So if you could determine with this watch box that it's working to perfection, you're golden, right? No tools, again, no need to measure with a multimeter or the resistance or anything like that. You have all the data right at your fingertips. All right, so very, very easy to analyze what's happening. In addition to that, we can clearly see that our pressure sensor also detected that there's water in there. So all of this, you could do it with one single function right here. All right, let's go ahead and exit out of this. And just to close this out, we're going to go ahead and activate the drain pump just to get all the water out of the unit. And we're going to move on to our next topic. All right, we're letting the water get out of there. Leave, leave, leave. Let's see if it's going. Yep, there it is. Slowly but surely. And it's going, gone. All right. So now we can kill our drain pump manually here. We're just going to press the off button. And for now, I guess we can just go ahead and exit service mode. Okay. All right, my friends. So that is the operate loads feature. Very, very simple function within the SmartHQ service application. So we've already shown you the spin cycle, the operating of individual components. One thing I want to share with you here that I prepared is this chart, which, by the way, I was able to pull from the documentation within the SmartHQ service app. This is a chart that tells you the pressure sensor inches, the water value that's going to be used during typical cycles that our consumers use, right? So, for example, you see there during the normal or the normal wash or rinse, we're only using a maximum of 2.4 inches of water. That is much less than what we actually saw in this demonstration that I just did right now, right? So in terms of like an actual wash cycle, the one that's going to use the most amount of water is going to be that bulky bedding rinse cycle, and that one is only going to reach 3 inches. So this is how you can explain also by having knowledge of this, right? You can explain to your customers that because their washing machine is energy efficient, there is no need to fill it up to the top, right? There's no need to see a fishbowl in their front load washer. The clothes are going to come out perfectly clean, but it's going to save the customer in terms of their water bill, their electric bill. The only time you're going to see this much amount of water being used is when the customer does a self-clean cycle, right? There we can see on the chart, they're going to use about 4 inches of water. But other than that, these machines are meant to use very, very little water, and they're very efficient. So what controls all this, or what detects this, is the actual pressure sensor, which is, of course, located within the main control board. And yes, for those of you that may have never seen this before, there will be a little tube sticking out, and that's where the hose will connect to that pressure sensor. Now, we know that sometimes the pressure sensor is not the issue, right? So in the event that, for example, you're running these tests that I just demonstrated, and you don't see a change in the inches, right? You don't see a change in that value. It's very possible your pressure sensor is good, but you might have some problem with the hose. The hose might be cut, right? Might have a little cut, a hole, might be pinched. There's a restriction. So in that case, of course, you will have to, take a look at the unit, and obviously inspect the hose for any kind of damage. Just please be very careful, because I've seen some technicians actually remove the hose and blow into that pressure sensor, try to see if there's any dirt in there, and they end up damaging it, which will, of course, require you to replace the entire main PCB. So just make sure that you don't do that by accident. Okay, my friends? All right, so that's what I wanted to share with regards to the operate loads feature. Now let's go ahead and get into the troubleshooting of a no spin situation. So this is kind of a bonus, my friends here. I wanted to just kind of show you, in the event that those spin tests that we did earlier did not work, well, you can very easily use your troubleshooting skills here to determine if your motor is bad. For example, if you get an F3 fault code, right, and you want to see if the resistance, or just in general, see if that motor is working well or not, you can go ahead and measure across those 3 wires, the red, white, and blue, and that will tell you resistance-wise if there's an open or a short circuit. What you're looking for, as you can see right here on the display, is, of course, you're looking for about 14 ohms of resistance. And the little red wires at the top, right, those two, that's your connection points to the Hall sensor. So while you can't really measure these, what you can do is inspect for corrosion, for any kind of maybe a loose connection, a cut in the wire, things like that. But other than that, that's about all you can do there. Now, as far as your resistance measurements that I talked about, the 14 ohms, I like to measure at the motor itself, but also at the harness, right? At the end of the harness, which is where the connector is, right there, that technician's holding it. I like to measure the resistance there as well, because that will tell me if I have a bad wire harness. Now, this connector ultimately attaches to the inverter board. So what you would do is disconnect that from that gray port on the inverter board, and you would make your measurements right there, red, white, and blue. Any combination should give you 14 ohms plus or minus 10%. And of course, that tells you that the drive motor assembly is working well. Now, in terms of the inverter PCB, right, the inverter board, the only thing you can really check here is 120 volts AC going into the inverter from the main board. All right. Now, if you check your inverter PCB and it is showing, the input to the inverter PCB and it's showing 120 volts AC, and you check your resistance and the resistance is fine on the motor, then it's a very high probability that the problem is your inverter PCB that's not functioning, and of course you would have to replace that. So I just wanted to share that information because I think it's really important to not only talk about SmartHQ service, the application itself, but what do you do once you find the problem? How do you actually troubleshoot it? And we want to do more of this as we progress with these YouTube live events. So definitely stay tuned for that. We're going to have a lot more information for you. All right, my friends, at this point, we're about halfway through the presentation. So what I want to do here is just show our contact information here, okay? I want to show that we do have a website. For those of you that may have joined us late, you can reach us by phone as well, all right? So first, our website, smarthqservice.com, and of course, our phone number is right there on the screen, 502-714-2029. Please feel free to call any time of the day. Our agents are always standing by ready to assist. And of course, our email address is smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com. And that's where you can reach us for any technical support issues you might be running into. We're happy to support. And of course, our physical address is below. If you want to send us a postcard, a little gift. And I can't wait to go back to the office and see what kind of goodies are there. I haven't been there in a while. But that is our physical address, my friends. So I wanted to definitely share that. The other thing I want to show is our website, okay? We have a really exciting website where we have a ton of information that you will be able to find. But I want to point out here that we've added this banner at the top of our website, learn about SmartHQ Service Web, and you will not want to miss what we have upcoming in the next few minutes, folks, because it's going to completely change the way that you do business using the new platform, SmartHQ Service Web. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Regarding the website, you will be able to find a plethora of training materials, right, in the form of videos here. So here, our instructors, Mr. Tim Burdick, a lot of you folks out there know him. We have our director, Mr. Tal Mahari, and one of our top engineers, Neetha. She's great. They are here to teach you step-by-step how to utilize the SmartHQ service app for various products and various features and functions. In addition to that, you also will be able to hear from our customers, right? We have some testimonials of how this product has completely transformed their business. And last but not least, a very special, very warm message from our president and CEO, Mr. Kevin Nolan, who highly endorses this product. And by the way, I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Nolan over at the AHR convention in Las Vegas last week, and he is an incredible person to talk to, right? Very, very cool guy, just an outstanding individual, outstanding leader, and again, highly endorses this product. So if you ever get a chance to meet him in person, great person. All right, so that again, that's the website that I wanted to to show website information. And now, my friends, what we're going to do is we're going to transition over from the washing machine. We're going to go over to the dryer. Okay, so for that, obviously, I'm going to have to go ahead and disconnect my Bluetooth module from the port on the washer. So very simple. I'm just going to kind of move my wire over here, and we're going to connect the port to the RJ45 port here on the dryer. So there it is. Again, located right in the front where it's easy for you to access it, okay? All right, so what we've done here, let's switch the view. I've actually just moved the camera around a little bit so that you could see the inside of the dryer. And what we're gonna display here, so again, my friends, I'm already connected to the dryer. I've already connected the Bluetooth module. And again, I've already paired my mobile device with the module. What I want to show you here is a very particular test that's going to help you not necessarily activate individual components on the dryer, right? Because the dryer is a relatively simple product. It's got obviously the drum motor, it's got the igniter, so not too many bells and whistles. But one of the issues that we run into with dryers is the clothes coming out wet or the unit taking too long to dry them, right? And that's obviously a weak heating condition, right? That's not a total no heat condition. That's just weak heating. But it's a little difficult for us to explain to our customers that their vent is restricted just with words, because they're probably not going to believe you initially, even though they've never cleaned their vent ever in their life. So one way to show them is using the application. So let me explain what I mean by that, okay? So put myself in the corner of the screen here. There is a feature here that will give you the data for the inlet and outlet thermistors as this thing is running, okay? So let's see, turn on the light again. All right, so we're gonna hit the button labeled next. Then we're gonna click on load status. And we're going to click the little button labeled graphs. All right, so we're going to click on that. And now you can see there with the side-by-side view, we have a graph at the top, which is the inlet and outlet thermistor graph. And then we have the graph at the bottom, which is the moisture sensor graph. Now, the moisture sensor graph is right now reading 5 volts because there are no clothes, no wet articles of clothing touching the moisture bars within the dryer. So as soon as this thing begins to run, you're going to see that value drop from 5 volts to 2 or 1 volt until the clothes are completely dry. And of course, the graph at the top shows you your inlet temperature and your outlet. So let's go ahead and get started with this. We're just going to hit the start key on the dryer. And once we do that, you're going to start to see first the moisture sensor graph change, right? You saw the value drop from 5 volts to 2 volts DC. And that's an indication that the clothes are wet. Okay, that's 100% the clothes are wet. What I have there, by the way, in case you're wondering, is just a couple of wet towels. Now, at the top, as soon as the fire turns on, and this is a gas dryer, you're going to see the inlet temperature rise, and obviously it's going to rise much faster than the outlet temperature. What we're looking for here is approximately a difference of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, by the way, between the inlet and the outlet temperatures. This would be an indication that there are no restrictions, all right? And this is these two, the values are obviously gonna continue to go up as the dryer gets hotter and hotter, but the difference in values should remain consistent throughout the entire time the dryer is on, or at least throughout the entire time the dryer is actually heating, okay? Now, if there were a restriction, what I would see after a little while would be that inlet temperature suddenly drop. All right, and or I might see my inlet temperature for some reason just begin to rise, just even though the clothes are still wet. That would be an indication that there's some kind of a vent restriction, because I've run hundreds of tests here, and all the time, right, whether it's towels or clothing or whatever it is, the difference in temperature remains consistent, which is about, again, like I said, about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So right now the dryer is working very well. We have a nice, vented system here. I usually clean this vent at least once a year. Should clean it more often than that, but that's usually enough. So that's what I wanted to show you, my friends, because even though it might be difficult for you to explain to your customer that the problem is not the dryer, it's their vent, this will give you more, more tangible evidence that you can show to them. All right. So again, if there were a restriction, what I would see that graph do, right now it's at 200 degrees, I would see it suddenly drop, and then it would try to kind of pick itself back up again, drop, pick itself back up again over and over, and the cycle would take forever to finish. In this case, yes, it would take forever. All right, so that's kind of what I wanted to demonstrate here. Nothing too crazy. So we're going to go ahead and stop the machine now. All right, so let's go ahead and pause this for a little while. And one more thing that I want to show you here, my friends, is within the application, we can also see something else here in the cycle history. So I'm going to go back and press the cycle history button. Oop, there it is. And we're going to turn the phone, see if we can see the data more clearly. Yes, we can see it. Now, take a look at these cycles, right? Cycle number 51, 50, 49. It tells you the duration time. These have been just short tests I've been running, so obviously the duration time is very low. But if I kind of go back here, I can see other cycles, took 38 minutes, 37 minutes, 53 minutes, so on and so forth, all right? And in all these cases, let me see if I can actually tell using this app if there was a restriction by looking at the restriction detected parameter. And I can see that in all these 4 cases, there is a very small restriction. And as long as you see small, that's fine. That means there's no restriction, almost no restriction whatsoever. There's always going to be a little bit, the length of the venting, all that good stuff, right? But if you ever see a value high, and it's probably going to be in red, right? That's a clear indication that you have a dangerous situation here, right? This could be life-threatening because it could cause a fire. So please make sure that you advise your customer that it's time to clean their vent professionally, because this could be a really dangerous situation. So SmartHQ service gives you all this information, allows you to show your customer what's going on, and of course allows you to see what's going on so you can confidently explain that to your consumer. All right, my friends. So that's basically what I wanted to show you here with the SmartHQ service application regarding dryers. And now, my friends, be prepared to be blown away, all right? Because what I'm going to show next is the SmartHQ service web platform, all right? And again, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, SmartHQ Service Web is a web-based version, desktop version of the SmartHQ Service app, which is going to allow you in the office, right, the office personnel, to be able to view documentation. In this case, I'm going to be demonstrating with a tablet, but before I do that, I want to show you our promotional video that we just launched. And again, get ready to be blown away. So as we say around here, my friends, let's go to the videotape. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. My name is Juan Morales, Senior Staff Field Application Engineer for SmartHQ Service here at GE Appliances. We are very excited to bring you the newest addition to the SmartHQ Service family of products, SmartHQ Service Web. Designed to be used in an office environment, SmartHQ Service Web promotes 2 core business functions to support service managers and in-house technical support personnel. One is the ability to quickly and easily access service documentation by simply entering a model number. The other is the ability to view the data that is captured whenever a service technician connects to an appliance out in the field using the SmartHQ Service app. These 2 powerful functions are certain to add a whole new dynamic to your triage process and increase your first-time completion rate, which can dramatically lower the cost of operating your business. And don't forget, SmartHQ Service Web is designed to run on any browser and on any device, giving you complete control and flexibility. So, whether you use a PC, a tablet, or mobile device, you will have instant access to things like product information, service documentation, exploded drawings, fault code information, and much, much more. You can even order parts right on the spot, saving you both time and money. Now, let's take a closer look at how this product can help facilitate communication between you and your service technicians out in the field. SmartHQ Service Web has an amazing feature called Diagnostic History, which lets you view the data from the products your service team is working on, all in a matter of seconds. See the data they see whenever a Bluetooth connection is made using SmartHQ Service. You can instantly view any fault codes or alerts the product may be exhibiting. The Embedded Cycle History feature gives you a complete overview of how the product has been recently operating. For example, if your tech is working on a refrigerator, you can get a complete history of things like internal temperatures, ice maker fills, compressor runtimes, and more. SmartHQ Service Web even lets you graph the data for a simpler view. And because this data is permanently stored in the cloud, it can be accessed anytime. SmartHQ Service Web makes it easy to search through your entire team's service history by simply entering the model or serial number, as well as any notes taken during a repair session. In the event of a complex issue, pictures and videos can be easily shared so you can see exactly what's going on and provide the best possible guidance. It's like being right there next to your technicians. With this level of communication, you can support your entire service team like never before. Alrighty, my friends, and there you have it. As you can see, SmartHQ Service Web is the ultimate solution to all of your technical support needs. Elevate your level of service today by visiting smarthqservice.com or call 502-714-2029. Once again, thank you so much for watching. And remember that at GE Appliances, we are here to help and always here for you. All right, my friends, and there you have it. As you just saw, just like the video said, SmartHQ Service is indeed the ultimate solution to all of your technical support needs. Okay, this is, again, an incredible product that we recently developed and launched. So we want to make you aware of it so that you can take advantage of it. Now, again, one of the things that this is going to help us overcome, right? One of the biggest hurdles that we have right now is the ability to find qualified technicians that, are, they have good electrical skills, good mechanical skills, but also are very good with customers, right? It's kind of difficult to find the total package. So what this allows you to do is to be able to communicate with your technicians, right? So maybe you hire somebody that is excellent with customer service skills, but perhaps lacks a little bit of the technical experience. So you can send them out to perform these repairs. And if they have any issues in the field, any questions, they can always send you pictures, send you the data. You can analyze it and be able to guide them, right? So what I'm going to show you right here is a quick demonstration. We're going to do this side-by-side view over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and take a picture using my mobile device. So let's go ahead and take a photo upload. So you can see miscellaneous features, photo upload. I'm going to click that button. And I'm just sort of going to, of course, we have to accept permission to take the photo. I'm just going to go ahead and activate my camera and just take a picture of this dryer vent here. Boop, there it is. All right, so I took the picture. I want to use that photo. We're going to go ahead and add a note. So I'm just going to say vent and uploaded. And once you do that, the picture will be uploaded. And all you need to do out there, my friends, for service technicians, if you take a picture, oh, by the way, you could take a video as well. You just need to go ahead and close out your application, and this data will be immediately sent to the cloud. And now your service manager, triage agent, in-house tech support person in the office can take a look at it, and they can see what's going on. So let's go to the SmartHQ Service app screen over here. So again, I've already opened up or signed into SmartHQ Service Web here using my tablet. And let's take a look at right here. If you wanted to access information, all you need to do is enter a model or serial number. And you can even, if you enter the serial number, it'll give you the manufacturing date. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and enter this model here, just a random model number. And just by doing that, I'm able to access all relevant information such as service manuals, mini manuals, recent bulletins, all this great information, okay? If I go ahead and click the button labeled next here, that is where I'm going to be able to see, let me zoom into some of these a little bit. That's where I can see my diagnostic history. You can pull up diagnostic documents, fault codes. If I wanted to find out fault codes about the product, I can check out every single fault code here. But in terms of communication, okay, that picture I just took, I'm going to go to Diagnostic History, click on that. And here you can look it up by model number, by serial number, by session notes that your technician entered. You can look by week, by month, by year. So this data is going to be, again, permanently stored in the cloud. In this case, I'm going to cross out this model number because I want to look at all the data, and I'm going to click Search. Now, when I click on that, take a look at this. Right here, I have all the different models that my service team has been working on. And I can see here, the top one is the dryer I just took a picture of. I can see the serial number as well. the date when the service call was completed, and because there's a check mark where it says media here, it tells me there's either a picture or a video. So if I click on here, at that diagnostic history, I'm going to look for a little paper clip indicating that there's some kind of media. And yep, I see it right here, diagnostic photo, there's a paper clip. Let's click on that, and right there we have our dryer vent, and boom, you could see it right there. I can even zoom in to analyze, to look a little bit more closely, see what's going on. And that, my friends, is what's going to make a world of difference in the way that you do business. Because now, not only do you have access to your technician's data, right? The cycle history information from that customer's product, but you can also guide them in the field by seeing what they see, right? By being able to be kind of their eyes and ears. So this is a very simple example I just showed you right here. Big deal, a dryer vent, not that difficult. But if a technician is trying to diagnose a board, right? Let's say that they're trying to measure voltage or resistance and they're not very familiar with how to do it. They can send you a picture. You could say, oh, okay, you see that yellow and blue wire, okay? Place your multimeter leads across that and you should be getting a reading of 120 volts AC. Just some example, right? But that makes it very easy for you to, again, support your team out there. Vice versa, right? Let's say you have a technician that's really good electrically, right? They can do all the measurements and repair anything, but they're not able to explain to their customer what's going on with the product, right? Again, going back to this, you can, not only can you see the pictures, but you can also see the cycle history parameters. So in this case, this is the dryer. I can see, the cycle number, how long ago that cycle took place, the duration time, what cycle the customer selected. So in the example I showed earlier in the presentation where the clothes were taking too long to get washed, right, by the washing machine, once you have that data, you could probably get on the phone with the customer and say, okay, maybe my technician, maybe your technician wasn't able to explain it that well to the customer, but you're a little bit more tactful. You're better with that scale. So you can talk to your customer and say, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, nothing's wrong with your product. My technician just sent me the data from your machine, and it shows that everything's working to perfection. The only thing is you may have overloaded it, but we'll explain to you how to take care of that, okay? So that is an excellent way, again, for you to be able to understand what's happening in the field and be able to support your team like never before. All right, my friends, unfortunately, it looks like we are out of time for today, but I want to thank you so much for watching, okay? Please continue to be safe out there, and don't forget to visit our website, smarthqservice.com, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in SmartHQ Service, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. Again, my friends, thank you so much. Have a pleasant day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.